My dear one, have you ever wanted to go home? Not just to a house with walls and a roof, but to a place where you feel safe again. Maybe you've made a mistake. Maybe you said something you wish you could take back. Or maybe you wondered very quietly, would they still want me if they really knew? Tonight's story is about a father, 2 sons, and a love that does not close its door. It's about leaving and longing and the brave, trembling step of turning back. Jesus once told this story to help us understand what God's love is really like. Not the kind that counts your failures, but the kind that watches the road and runs toward you when you come home. So come closer, little heart, and let me tell you a story about a son who wandered far and a love that never stopped waiting. There once was a father who had 2 sons. They lived together in a warm house, surrounded by fields that swayed softly in the wind. Each morning, the father rose early. He checked the land, greeted the workers by name, and returned home as the sun climbed higher. The older son worked beside him. He was steady, responsible. His hands were strong from years of labor, and his heart took pride in doing what was right. But the younger son was different. He often stood at the edge of the fields, watching the road that led away from home. His eyes followed travelers as they passed by, their stories carried on the dust of their footsteps. He dreamed of distant places, of freedom, of choosing his own path. It wasn't that the father was unkind. He loved both his sons deeply. He provided for them. He protected them. He welcomed them home every night. But the younger son felt restless inside. One afternoon, when the sun hung low and the house was quiet, the younger son gathered his courage. His heart beat fast as he stood before his father. "Father, give me my share of the inheritance." The words fell heavy between them. In asking this, the son was not just asking for wealth. He was asking for his life apart. A life without waiting. A life without rules. A life on his own terms. The father looked at his son for a long moment. He could have refused. He could have scolded him. He could have demanded he stay. But love does not force the heart. And so the father divided what he had. He gave the younger son his share, and he let him go. The younger son did not wait long. He gathered his belongings, counted his silver, packed what little he needed. At dawn, while the house still slept, he stepped onto the road that led away from home. The farther he walked, the lighter his steps felt. The fields faded behind him. The air changed. New sights filled his eyes. Busy towns, bright colors, music spilling from open doors. He had never seen so much life. In the far country, everything felt possible. He bought fine clothes. He shared meals with strangers who laughed loudly and spoke of endless joy. He spent freely, not thinking of tomorrow, only of today. Coins clinked, cups overflowed, nights grew longer, and for a while he felt happy. But happiness built on spending soon runs thin. The silver grew lighter. The friends who once crowded around him began to drift away. Smiles faded. Invitations stopped coming. And then, just as his money ran out, trouble came. A famine spread through the land. The markets emptied. The music stopped. Hunger settled into every street. The younger son looked for help. But no one noticed him now. No one offered a meal. No one remembered his name. The road that once promised freedom now felt very long and very lonely. The younger son grew hungry. Not just the kind of hunger that makes your stomach ache, but the kind that settles deep inside. The kind that makes you feel small. He searched for work, any work. At last, a farmer hired him to tend pigs. And for the son of a good home, this was the lowest place he had ever known. He stood in the fields, the mud clinging to his feet, the smell heavy in the air. The pigs ate better than he did. Sometimes, as he poured out their feed, his hands trembled with hunger. He watched them eat and wished he could eat the same. And it was there, among the pigs, that something changed. He stopped running. He stopped pretending. He stopped blaming everyone else. He thought of home, of his father's table, of servants who had bread enough and more. "What am I doing here?" he whispered. "I will go home, not as a son, just as a servant. I will say to my father, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Please, let me be one of your servants.'" And with that decision, weak knees, empty hands, and a heavy heart, the younger son turned his face toward home. Back at home, the father waited. Every morning he stepped outside. Every evening he lingered by the road. He did not know where his son had gone. He did not know what choices he had made, but he never stopped hoping. The father knew the shape of the horizon, the curve of the road, the way travelers looked as they walked from afar. He had learned to recognize footsteps even before faces. Some days, neighbors passed. Some days, strangers came and went. And some days, no one came at all. But the father kept watching, not with anger, not with folded arms, but with a heart still open. And then, one day, far down the road, he saw a figure, a thin figure, a familiar walk. The clothes were worn, the shoulders were slumped, the steps were slow. But the father knew that was his son. He did not wait. He did not call for explanations. He did not demand apologies. He ran. The father ran. Dust rose beneath his feet. His heart pounded, not with anger, but with love. The son looked up. He had practiced his speech 100 times, words of apology, words of shame, words that said, "I am no longer worthy." But before he could speak, before he could bow his head, the father reached him. Strong arms wrapped around tired shoulders, a familiar scent, a familiar heartbeat. The son froze, then broke. He began to cry. Deep, shaking sobs, the kind you cry when you've carried sorrow for too long. The father held him. He did not pull away. He did not stiffen. He held him tighter. The son tried to speak. "Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son." But the father would not let him finish. He lifted his son's face. He smiled through tears. "Quick, bring the best robe. put a ring on his finger, sandals on his feet. This son of mine was lost, and now he is found. Music filled the air. Laughter followed tears. The house that had waited in silence now overflowed with joy. The son had come home expecting punishment, but he found mercy. He had returned hoping for crumbs, but was welcomed back to the table. The music drifted through the house. Laughter spilled out into the night. Inside, the lamps glowed warm and bright, but outside, someone stood alone. The older son had just returned from the fields. His hands were sore from work, his clothes dusty from a long day beneath the sun. As he neared the house, he heard singing. He slowed. He frowned. He called to one of the servants. "What is happening?" The servant smiled, breathless with joy. "Your brother has come home. Your father has received him safely. He has prepared a feast." The older son did not smile. His chest tightened, his jaw set hard. He turned away from the doorway and refused to go inside. The father noticed. He always did. Leaving the celebration behind, he stepped into the cool night air. The lamps inside flickered behind him as he approached his older son. "My son, why do you stand here?" The older son's words came out fast, as if they had been waiting years to escape. "All these years I have served you. I never disobeyed you. Yet you never gave me even a small feast with my friends." His voice began to shake. "But this son of yours, who wasted everything, comes home and you celebrate him?" The night held its breath. The father placed a hand on his son's shoulder. "My son, you are always with me. Everything I have is yours." He looked back toward the lighted house, the laughter, the music, the long table filled again. "But we had to celebrate, for your brother was dead and is alive again. He was lost, and now he is found." The father did not raise his voice. He did not argue. He simply stayed, standing between the music inside and the quiet of the night, his love steady, his arms still open. Inside, the feast continued. Bread was broken. Lamps flickered softly. A son who once slept among pigs now sat wrapped in warmth and safety. And outside, another son listened, hearing, perhaps for the first time, that love is not earned by perfection, but given freely. Jesus let the story settle there, because the truth was already clear. No matter how far we wander, no matter how long we stay away, love always leaves the door open. And when we come home, we are welcomed. Rest now, little heart. You are never too far, and you are always loved. More gentle Bible stories, always lit by Lola's lamp.